Please forgive. Too many mind.
Too many mind?
Mind the school. Mind the people.
Let him go, Andre.
Mind the enemy. Too many mind.
What's good, big dog? Shogun Army salute. Samurai Soldiers salute. It's your boy Big A and Dre, and this is the second podcast of the Shogun Talks podcast series, a new thing we're launching here on YouTube. I'm gonna let my brother Big A introduce himself, and we'll get right into the background of the show. Go ahead, Big A.
Hey, what's happening? You know what it is, man. It's your boy Big A back in here like I left my wallet and keys, man. Yes, sir.
Yeah, bro. I've been building pedigrees all morning for some of my respective customers that they don't want to pay for an online PEDS account. So every so often they'll send me $5 and say, "Hey Dre, can you build me an account and everything?" So yeah, man, that's it. But this podcast right here allows me to talk about the building better people thing. Before I do that, let me let my other Shogun brother in here, Shogun Honda, aka Supreme Excellence, come into the building. What's good, big dog?
Hey, what's happening?
good? How y'all feeling that morning?
Man, you know
All
what I'm
right.
saying? Feeling like a bag of money, man. Feeling like a bag of money, Supreme.
That's what
Yeah,
I like to hear.
Yeah.
Elevated Kennels in the building. I will be dropping the link into the chat for you guys, for you great brothers in the chat. If any of y'all want to come through on this stuff this morning, man. But now that I got my brothers here, I failed. Let me go ahead and say this. I failed to put in the description what we're going to talk about today. But the overarching episode is going to be talking about the American Dingo. Some of you have probably never heard of the American Dingo, but I will be breaking that down and talking about just my journey into these dogs and some of the things I've learned throughout my educational and military experiences. I got a couple of things I'm going to break down for y'all today, like Bloom's taxonomy, as well as education levels and things like that to help us with conflict resolution, both online and in person. And my brothers, whatever my brothers want to cook on as well, we'll bring in the chat. Before we get into that though, y'all, let me get over here to the chat and shout out those who came through to show love early and not late. We got the mother-loving Dickie, mother-loving Foster in the building. What's good, big dog?
Hey. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. What's good, big dog? Brother Dickie, man, prayers to you and everybody up there in your area going through these cold snaps that are really affecting people's livelihoods, man. We salute you and many prayers out to you and everybody in the Virginia area and any areas being affected by the inclement weather. Salute to you, big bro.
Yes, sir.
Man, the legend, Arrowhead.
Yeah.
What's good, big dog? Salute to you, brother Arrowhead. As always, brother Arrowhead, I appreciate you being in the chat because you always kind of steer the chat back to common sense and keep us away from the fugazi or the nonsense chatter. Thank you for being here, man. We appreciate your guidance and your mentorship, and you are always respected over here at Samurai Kennels, man. Salute.
Yes, sir.
Brother, student for life, dog.
Hey. Yeah. What's happening?
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Another one coming through in a major way. Salute to you, my bro. Thank you for checking in. Welsh in the building. What's good, big dog? Yeah, man.
Yeah.
My brother Elevated Kennels in the building as well, man. Salute, man. Top of the morning, brother. Top of the morning. And the rest of the day to you as well, my brother. Like I said, y'all, I'm gonna be dropping the link in the chat. But the three topics that I personally want to cover today are the American Dingo, just explaining that to people what it is, Bloom's taxonomy, and then educational levels and understanding of communication and conflict resolution. All right. Like I said, the Shogun Speaks podcast is about building better people. And then when you see the Samurai Kennels logo that I'm going to be putting on the Samurai Kennels videos, that is going to be about building better dogs. And then obviously our competitions will it'll have its own logo too. So if you just want to watch the dog competitions and don't want to hear us talking and, talking out the side of our neck, you can just watch each one of these things based upon what information you're trying to get or trying to give to the dog community based upon what your input is. Everybody's not going to have the same background or the same way of thinking. And I don't want to force my way of thinking on anybody. I just want to share it to enlighten those or to give those a voice that may not have a voice of their own. All right. So yeah. Supreme and Big A, y'all want to add anything to that?
Nah, it's time to get to cooking.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start it off with, because the American Dingo I wanted to talk about further into the show once we get a few more people in here. So I'm going to start off with the Bloom's taxonomy thing. All right. And this is not to insult anybody's intelligence, but there are levels of understanding, and I wanted to share this with you guys. And I'm gonna try to tie it into the dogs, but if all else fails, man, it's just some great information to have for when you're dealing with people. And I'll tell you what brought it up. I get phone calls all the time, and sometimes the phone call, or the worst is the messages on Instagram and Facebook. I get messages and they say, "You got pups." I'm saying, "You got pups." That can mean a lot of things because one, it is open-ended statement. There's no punctuation there. Mind you, I get it. I'm not trying to play you down, not by any means, but I do want to talk about clear and concise communication and why it's important. When a person messages me personally and asks me, "Do I have pups?" It's confusing because no, I don't have pups, and if I did, I would be showing them on the internet. You know what I'm saying? Two,
Yeah.
are you looking for pups from me specifically, or are you looking for pups just in general? Because a lot of the brothers in the chats that I'm on have puppies, and they're willing to let one go as long as you're a responsible owner and you're willing to answer the questions they're going to ask you before they relinquish their product or their animal to you, to make sure that their animal is going to a healthy home that's going to do positive and legal and lawful things. But when you say you got pups, that is a very open-ended statement, and the communication there is just not. I'm not going to figure out for you what it is you're looking for. I'm not going to do that. Arrowhead said he gets those too. Yeah, man. And it's no disrespect to you, man. But I'm gonna explain it. I'm gonna break this down for y'all as to why that happens and to help all my brothers understand exactly what's going on. The legacy dog man is in the building. Elevated Kennel, salute, big bro.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to get my headphones to connect.
Oh, no worries. No worries, bro. Yeah, man. So Elevated, what you might have missed while you were connecting in was the phone calls about people saying you got pups and not really being able to articulate or elaborate upon that. And so what I was going to show y'all was something I learned in my military schools and also in my sociology school. And
1 second.
okay, was this thing called Bloom's taxonomy. Big A, if you will, if anybody else joins the back chat, if you will add them in, so I can because I'm gonna be focused on the screen for Bloom's taxonomy right here.
Roger that.
Okay. So y'all, for Bloom's taxonomy, it's something I was breaking down with my brother Big A earlier today, and I wanted to really share it with y'all because in the dog game, what I realized, and just in life in general, is there are different levels of understanding, right? And for those levels of understanding, a lot of people don't understand to what degree they can articulate something. And just because you can say something doesn't mean you can create or evaluate or analyze, apply, or even understand what you're talking about. And so for Bloom's taxonomy, I wanted to break this down for everybody who's going to watch this now and in the future to understand where I'm coming from when I talk about articulating yourself and asking the right questions, especially if you're new to the game and want to talk to a prospective breeder or make a prospective purchase. Okay, so this list right here is known as Bloom's taxonomy. Bloom's taxonomy is basically an evaluation or a list of evaluations and levels of understanding for information. All right, and we're going to start with the bottom, which is the most common, which is why it's the widest tier of Bloom's taxonomy, and work our way to the top. I'm going to use it for dog purposes in relation to breeding and understanding bloodlines. Let me give some shout outs real quick before I get started on this. RBG Lone Wolf, salute, welcome to the building. I much appreciate you. Brother Tony M, good morning.
Hey.
You're listening, working. Salute to you. Salute, and we will articulate this as best possible because I know a lot of y'all are watching this. And since it is a podcast, the expectation is that you can't see the visual imagery that we have on the screen. All right. Welcome back, Brother Elevated.
It brought me in weird, so I had to exit out of it, and then I seen it said click bring it up on the app.
Oh yeah, nice. But your audio is very good, by the way. It's very crisp and has a nice tenor to it.
I got AirPods in.
Oh, nice. All right, y'all. So, Brother Elevated, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go up each rung of Bloom taxonomy, break it down for everybody, and then allow everybody to decipher each rung of Bloom's taxonomy before we move on to the American Dingo, which is the central theme of the show. So yeah. So when we start to learn things, right? Typically what happens is you learn first at what's called the remember level. And what the remember level is this: can you retain and recall the information? You need to be able to reiterate it, to memorize it, to duplicate it, to repeat it, and to identify it. Now, with this right here, what I would say in relation to the dogs, or even in grade school, to reiterate means typically they make you say your spelling. I don't know if y'all used to have these, but they used to make us have these spelling word lists. It'd be like 10 spelling words. You had to be able to say it, and they would make us memorize the word and be able to spell it. And then sometimes
we had to use it in a sentence.
And you have to be able to use it in a sentence. But also, they would make us write it 5 or 10 times, write the same word 5 or 10 times to duplicate it. All right. And then sometimes they would have these mix and match puzzles where you'd have to identify it. That's at the remember level. That's the level that elementary school teachers teach at. And at that level of understanding, a lot of times we got guys with that level of understanding that want to elaborate upon things in the dog world. And there's nothing wrong with that. However, when I have discussions with individuals, I'm not judging you for what level of information is coming from, because no matter what level it's coming from, it's still valid information. However, one of the other things I want to discuss later in this episode is the education levels of the average American nowadays, and explaining to you why understanding Bloom's taxonomy is so important, specifically when you get those phone calls of "you got pups." Okay, so with that being said, I'm gonna pause real quick for my brothers on the panel or in the chat for y'all to articulate or type out y'all thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next rung on the on Bloom's taxonomy, so we can get to the top level of where we're trying to be at as dog owners, dog lovers, and just animal stewards in general. Y'all brothers got anything y'all want to add to that?
Nah,
So
No, that sounded really good to me.
whenever I
Go ahead.
started playing guitar, my papaw taught me the chords and stuff, and like I remembered them chords. And then as you get more advanced, you climb that same exact ladder that I was. Every one of them steps is the key to learning how to play guitar.
Right. I got
Pretty
you. I
wild.
see what you're saying. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's not even dog related. It's something else I noticed that this applies in.
Yeah. Definitely.
And communication, yeah, people need to get a lot better at communication.
Yeah.
Does everybody got their autocorrect turned off on their phones or something?
No.
I mean, honestly.
Nah.
No, I mean, honestly, like most people can't spell for shit. Y'all need to turn your autocorrect back on.
Well, I think that and then context clues are big too, man. I try to and I've done this, and I'm pretty sure a lot of y'all have done this too. You tried to fill in the blanks for people and gotten the wrong message. You know what I'm saying? In communication, there's two people that are responsible. The sender is responsible for articulating a message with enough data for the receiver to even be able to get information, i.e.,
Yep.
I tell my dog to sit. If I don't give my dog enough context clues for him to know I want him to put his butt on the ground and keep his front legs erect, he doesn't get that message, right? And I'm using the dog as an example because it's not going to affect any individual person. I also want to give a shout out to my sister Faith Whitted in the building. Salute to you, sister Faith. I appreciate you coming through. Thank you so much.
Hey.
Well, like everybody acts like training ain't important, but you can ask Throwback Kennels. When he got Kaiser from me, that little dog would sit. He knew his name and everything, but I knew he was going to get him the whole time. So, like, I fool with my puppies a lot. Like, I don't show it, but because some people you can show all this stuff to, and they still don't get it. They don't know why
Yeah.
they're doing it. So, like, if you don't know why you're doing it, you could have the wrong outcome.
Elevated.
But that's another step up, though. We're not
Yeah.
we're not on the right step where that can apply.
But elevated, I think you covered that example you gave covered it exactly what I'm talking about. There are people who can hear you talk about a pedigree every day. They can hear you talk about a dog and how to do it every day. And they jump into chats with the remember level, and they're just regurgitating, or what it says right here, repeating information that they heard. All right.
And on some level, that's good for people to do, because the same way as you had to learn how to spell and knew them words, you had to write them like 5 or 10 times, or a certain amount of times in a row. A lot. That was something we did too. They made us write the word 5 times. Then we had to write a sentence. That's how we did it.
Now, elevated with that writing a sentence thing, I'm gonna tie it into the next one. I'm gonna use that as a segue. I want to give a shout out to brother Shonuff, my big bro, Red Leash Kennels in the building. Salute, man, and always thank you for everything you do. And my sister Faith said, elevated, your dogs are also stunning as for sure. Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. Now with
We just
elevate,
need to get one down there. Get it on
yeah,
some pigs.
we need to get some down there, man. Hey, Faith, you ain't got enough pins for how many dogs we about to overload you with. Red Leash, if you got room for one of them over there too, one of them old yellow dogs, I'd love to put one in your
I got
hand.
a few dogs going to a boy in Ohio.
Yeah.
I talked to him last night about it. Then a couple local boys at Hog Hunt have my dogs.
Yes, sir. Now, elevated. You did say something, and you said they made you write it in a sentence. To me, that means that you're at the next rung, and we're going to move on to the next rung of Bloom's taxonomy. This is understanding. To understand it, because before you just remember the information, to understand what you're remembering is this. You grasp the meaning of something. You can explain it, paraphrase it, report it, describe it, or even summarize it. Now, the reason why I say that is when you said you were using it in a sentence, that means you have to understand it enough to be able to use it in a sentence. So, for example, if I can just remember it, I can tell you that, the Yellow John is a red boy dog, bred to Bass Cat, Bass Cleo, and Bass Feather, right? That's just remembering. Now, understanding that means that, okay, when I look at that on a pedigree, he was bred to Cleo, which was his daughter, bred to Feather, which was his daughter's daughter, but also his daughter, and bred to his granddaughter, which was also his daughter. That's a level of understanding to be able to explain or summarize that he was bred.
Triple bred.
Triple bred, exactly.
Yeah.
When you start utilizing terms like that, you now understand the breeding, and you're not just remembering how it was done. You actually understand it to be able to articulate it to the next person. That level of understanding is really, really needed in these chats when you talk about these dogs. But what happens is, once again, the lower level, which is the larger level of people, if you look at Bloom's taxonomy, each rung is smaller and smaller because less and less people can understand it at that level. Okay. And so what I really want to articulate by showing y'all Bloom's taxonomy is, for those y'all who get those phone calls, do you got pups? This is for you to be able to identify and start asking the questions to ensure that the person you're talking to understands at whatever level you're trying to convey your message.
Yeah.
All right. And that's that. So for me, understanding it is, okay, I understand the science of dog training, right? Ivan Pavlov rang the bell, fed the dogs. They learned to salivate when they heard the bell ringing. I understand that. But that's still not application. This is just, I understand what I read, and I can tell you what I read. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now I'm gonna pass the mic, my brothers, before we move on to the next rung. But yeah, that's my take on it. Y'all in the chat, let us know what y'all think. Also, my brothers on the panel, y'all go ahead and cook.
Yeah. Yeah, man. So, and then, so we're at apply, right?
We're gonna move on to apply, but right now I'm just saying, if y'all wanted to, I don't want to move on before y'all have a chance to articulate anything y'all want to add to the rung that we're currently on. Right now, we're still on understand, but if y'all are ready to transition, we can transition to apply. But I also want to give a shout out to my brother Martinez, Game Dogs in the building. Salute.
Hey, what's happening?
Well, so people use medicines, and they know the one thing they used it for, that medicine's used for that. But they don't understand the medicine, what all these medicines do, the different uses of them. They don't just do one thing, most of them. Like, that's understanding what you're using so you can apply it, which is the next step in different situations.
Well, yeah, I think the thing is they understand. Well, you will understand that medicine is if I was a doctor and I told you take this medicine, you will understand that taking this medicine is supposed to help you.
Yeah.
But you know that you don't know what's in the medicine. You don't know the full purpose behind the medicine. You understand if you take this medicine, it'll help you, but you don't, know the side effects necessarily, everything that comes along with it.
Yep.
It's the simplicity of the matter versus the detail, I guess you could say.
Facts.
Well, in any one subject that you get interested in and you really start doing research on, you're going to find yourself at each one of these steps throughout the process.
Yes.
Yeah.
Elevated. Yeah. On God, bro. Y'all are cooking. And I want to say, okay, So what Big A was talking about is a good transition. Before I transition, is there anything else that I'm missing before I move on to apply?
No, you know.
Okay. So understanding it is exactly what Elevated and Big A said. You understand that the doctor's telling you this medicine. But for example, I just had a surgery. I had a Percocet yesterday, right? On the live. It's prescribed to me, but I'm using it as an example. Okay. I don't take a lot of mind-altering substances. I'll drink alcohol, but that's lawful, and I'm of age to consume alcohol, right? But when I took that thing yesterday, right, during the live, I went through different phases. At first, I got just numb, and then I got kind of just stupid, right? And I decided to walk downstairs to take out some trash yesterday during the live, and going down the stairs, man, it was awkward going down the stairs because I'm actually applying that medicine the doctor prescribed me from the understand phase, and I'm understanding it. I'm applying and learning exactly what it does to the body. And let me break down to y'all what apply actually says. Apply says use existing knowledge in new context to practice, to calculate, to implement, to operate, to use, or to illustrate. Okay, now in the dog world, this is where I get into a lot of arguments with a lot of dog trainers because there are a lot of YouTube professional dog trainers. And the one thing that I try to do on my lives is I try to show you this phase, the application phase. Everything that I sit here on these podcasts and talk about on the Shogun Talk side, I then try to go onto the Samurai Kennel side with the dogs and show you, okay, not only can I understand it and talk about it, but how I apply it. Not how you should apply it, but how I apply it. And then I take the comments and feedbacks and messages to say, okay, can I get better? And that's going to help me move on to the next rung. So I'm going to pause right there and let everybody in the chat and everybody on the panel get their rocks off on the apply phase before I move on to the analyzing phase.
Yeah. So breaking it down for me, like I can give you an example. When I used to be out on the East Coast, one of my friends, he had two dogs, and both his dogs were house dogs, you know. They did protection work and did the whole nine. And I had never seen dogs on that level that did not need to be kennel kept. So, and I remember just sitting there. It's my homeboy, so I'd be over there often and stuff, and I would see how he would move around. Now, we never talked about training or anything, but it showed me a different side that I had never seen. And me looking at that, okay, that's me remembering, you know, uh, a different, something that I saw or, an experience that I had. And then through the process of going through that, I already know how, I know I'm not a dog whisperer, but like, I really study dogs, you know what I'm saying? So it's a lot of things that I understand about a dog in general, as far as how they move around and interact as far as pack structure and all of that stuff. So when it comes down to me doing something that I've never done before, I understand how things, how as far as the dog's mentality and everything like that. And I remember how my homeboy had his set up and everything like that. So with both of those, I can apply what I know and what I remember from before to try to get a different outcome in this type of situation, if that makes sense.
Yes, sir. It does make
Yep.
sense.
And when you have the outcome in your hands, that's when you can move on to the next step.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
That
yeah.
that's why
Now,
it's a process that you can naturally go through, is because each step is pushing you to the next step, and there's nothing. Once the ball's
yeah,
rolling, there's nothing you can do about it.
yeah, yeah,
Fact.
I guess you could stop learning and be lazy, but I don't know.
Well,
yeah.
and
Well,
Elevated, I swear to none, you took the words right out of my head. Most people stop at the apply stage. I did it.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know everything
yeah.
about it. I did it. I know everything about it. I'm a genius now. I've walked
Hmm.
the dog on a leash one time. I know everything about walking a dog on a leash. Even if you walk, like just like we talked about yesterday, walking dogs in the cold, walking them on the heat, you know what I'm saying, walking in different terrains, hunting different terrains. Most people apply in their one specific area and call themselves an expert. But check this out. The next phase the elevator is talking about is called the analytical phase, or analyzing. In the analyzing phase of Bloom's taxonomy, you explore relationships, causes, and connections. You compare, you contrast, you categorize, you organize, and distinguish. Now, when I talk about the dog training or just raising dogs in general, most people, when they get to this phase, the ones that are successful at least reach this phase. Because what's going on now is you got pups. Okay, I'm analyzing. You probably are not familiar with communicating with breeders. So I know that you're probably not going to ask me questions that I expect to be asked from a prospective buyer from the type of dogs that I own. So now I've got to start asking probing questions to find out how much you remember, understand, and have applied already to make sure you're not a first-time dog owner trying to get one of these dogs. And if you are you willing to follow the rungs of this Bloom's taxonomy to get to the point where I can trust you with these dogs without being a hazard to yourself or to the general public? All right. So when I look at analyzing, what Big A said, he's comparing and contrasting previous experiences. He's categorizing the things that he can use versus those things he can't use. He organizes and plans out and structures his training strategy for his dogs. And then he distinguishes his results and posts or publicizes his results as different ways and different turnouts to his application or his experimental phase.
Yeah.
The way you analyze is you sit back and you look at what you remember, understand, and what you applied of all that and see your outcome.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And you're going to notice that we're going to move up the rungs faster and faster now, because at these levels right here, I'm still learning these levels myself when it relates to the dogs and it relates to people and communication.
Yeah.
All right. Now, the next step is going to be the evaluation phase. All right.
Yes.
Now you've applied it and you analyzed your results. Now it's time to evaluate. It's time to make judgments based upon sound analysis. You need to be able to assess, to judge, and even defend your outcomes, to prioritize what's important versus what you can throw away, to critique it and say what you could have done better, and to recommend suggestions to have a better outcome.
And comparing it to previous experiences.
Yep.
Let me read this comment from Sister Faith, because she took the time to type this out and I want to read it. She says, I can apply these steps from my process of creating my crosses. It took me 15 years to get where I am now. I was very particular and calculated with my dogs over the years. I've only allowed a few dogs to go to the general public. Some are pets, but would work if given the opportunity. And some work and show their new owners exactly how I said they would work. And see, that right there comes from your analyzing. You know your desired outcomes based upon your application.
Now, well said too.
Yeah, very well stated. Now for the evaluation phase, it's not only did you get the outcome you were looking for, but to what degree. This dog is able to catch a hog. This dog is able to catch any hog. This dog is able to catch no hogs based upon my analyst. All right. That's big, man. That's big.
Yeah.
That's big, man.
Well, and through evaluating and understanding what you did and what you like and don't like about it, that moves you already to the next step. Like, because then you know what you need to do next.
Yeah.
Yep. But this is also the phase.
Say you did a breeding, you see something you didn't like in it. Through evaluation and the true culling process, and you know if you want to move forward with that, what you need to do with it. Through all them steps, you got to that result in your mind.
But this phase, I would say, other than the top rung, creates the most controversy, because what happens at the evaluation phase is typically you're no longer using just your own analysis, but you're comparing it to other things on the market. Now, why is this important for a breeder or a show competitor?
The evaluation. So people needs to quit asking other people's opinions to evaluate their dogs. We're opening that up to, it's too easy to say, oh, that's a piece of shit. Like, and you're on the internet, so what's anybody going to do about it, But they wouldn't say that to your face. Like, people need to quit asking people's opinion. Put your opinion out there of your dog. Like asking everybody's opinion all the time. People all the know-it-alls always going to come in and put something that ain't even relevant to you or what you're doing with your dogs. Like I just put my opinion. You know, if people chime in with their other opinion, since I've started doing that, I got good opinions back versus all the
Mhm.
bad feedback I was getting.
Mhm.
Yep.
Just
Now, with that being said, Elevated, I agree. And also, the evaluation phase is at this point, you have to go with people who you trust that have completed the other phases. A lot of
yeah.
people from the apply phase are trying to evaluate without even analyzing their own stock. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying. To have accurate, your stock is your baseline. That's what the honest answer is. Your stock is your baseline. You can't go off of anybody else's opinion of your stock but yours, because they're not there day in and day out. They don't feed them, they don't clean the poop, they're not working them, they're not doing whatever activity it is you do with your dog. And
Well,
so
like even if you sell a bunch of dogs to one guy and he has a bunch of different dogs off of your stuff, Brett, his evaluate changes the next step for me. You know what I'm saying? It makes me have to put my input back into it.
yes,
I just always feel like that.
but also the evaluation, and that's what I was getting at. The evaluation has to be warranted. If
Hmm.
I'm not taking advice on how to get fit from a person that is on my 600-pound life, I'm not doing it. I refuse to. You know what I'm saying? It holds there's no application and no self-analyst for me to value that opinion. And I'm not saying anybody's opinion you should value. What I'm telling you is I take counsel from the people that are right here on my panel and in my chat. You know, that's who I decided to take counsel from, because they're even here long enough to hear out why certain things matter and why certain things don't. Shouts out to the big bro, Casino like Perez, man. Salute.
Hey,
Yep.
what's happening? Yes, sir.
And I want to give everybody caught up, because we're at the 30-minute mark, so we're 30 minutes into the show so far, guys. The overarching title for today's show is the American Dingo. We are going to cover that dog, but that's like the climax of the show. Right now, we're going over Bloom's taxonomy. I got a message the other night. It said you got pups, and I'm trying to explain to people not how to completely, but how to understand the different levels of
Well,
understanding.
like when you look at somebody's pages like ours, you can't just be like, "You got." Would you text Tom Garner that way? You know what I mean? Like just because we ain't got 200 plus dogs, like we're pretty legit about what we're doing. Like ask real questions, you know. And I mean, I know some people are just like, you got them because they might have seen you around on pages and stuff. They think they know you more than you know them.
Yeah, yeah,
I've dealt with that. People knows me, and I didn't know who they were. So my brother met a dude at the drag races. He had one of his dogs with him, and he asked him what kind of dog's that, and my brother told him it was a pit bull, and he said, "No, I mean like what kind of dog is it?" You know, asking how it was bred. And Hunter told him it was a Freemason dog, and he said, "Oh shit, I know Elevated." Like he knew who I was. I have no
Yeah,
clue who he is. He took
yeah,
a picture. He took a picture of Hunter's dog sitting next to a bottle of Jack Daniels next to a drag truck, and has it on his page. I had no clue who he was.
that's
fire.
what's up.
That's
I mean,
fire.
like
Yeah,
people through these groups and us showing ourselves off, people think they know us more than we know them, and that's the hard part about social media, I believe.
Yeah,
yeah,
it is. It is. And what you just said with the Freemason line, what Sister Faith was saying, what Red Leash was saying, what all these brothers that are creating these new lines have gotten to is the creation phase and the top rung of Bloom's taxonomy. And that's what I wanted to get to, because when you're dealing with these prospective clients, they don't understand your dogs the way you do. And the last phase is creation. In order to create something new, you have to understand everything that went into making something that's your own. And it says using existing information to make something new. You invent, develop, design, compose, generate, or construct. At that level, what you have done is you've taken all your evaluations, your analysis, your application, your understanding, and your remembrance of what you did to make something that is unique to you. And at that point, I don't want to hear what you got to say about it no more. We've already evaluated it. It is what it is.
One like if you look at a pedigree and you see the men that owns the dogs, you can in the generations that it carries on, you can see how long they were at that top rung of that. They're at the create side when it's multiple generations in on dogs. They're making new. They're keeping it around or making it better.
Yeah, that's facts, man. That's facts. And now that we got that out of the way, I want to move on to the climax of the show, which is the American Dingo. And I'm gonna show y'all a quick YouTube snippet of it. I'm gonna show you a quick YouTube snippet of it, and then I'm gonna and then we're
So,
gonna go.
so is that chart like basically a different breakdown of the scientific process of analysis?
It's the learning side of the scientific process. It's what you get from the
Yeah.
scientific process.
Yeah, less science, more psychology.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm going to show y'all a dog. I didn't know it existed, but a question was asked yesterday by brother RBG Lone Wolf, and he was asking me about why I got into the protection thing. And one of the things I started looking for when I got into the protection thing was breeds of dogs that I could use that were not typical, because I didn't want to compete with Malinois. I didn't want to compete with German Shepherds. I didn't want to compete with the typical. I wanted to come in and do my own thing, but I wanted to do it. I wanted to prove myself as a trainer, and I thought the best way to do that was to use a dog that was unconventional for what I was using it for.
Well, like, people need to understand that about you. Your environment is the military. That's the type of training they do with their dogs. So of course you're going to gravitate towards that. That's what you're around. It is your environment. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
So I'm gonna play this clip for y'all real quick. This right here is the American Dingo. All right. This is the American Dingo. They are known as the Carolina dog. They are indigenous dingoes to America, just like how Australia has dingoes. These dogs are the closest thing to a wild dog that is domesticated in the U.S. from the U.S.
They're more out towards the coast, though, ain't they?
Yeah, specifically their home of origin is specifically South Carolina. All right. There's a doctor there that has about 5 miles of preserve area for them, and the dog itself is simply just a dog that has a lot of the genetic qualities of the wolf still. They're very, very pack animals. And one of the greatest things about the dog is that they're known to roam, which is why I chose not to use this dog. But it was one of the dogs that I was looking at for my choices of dogs that I would want to use as a protection dog that is unconventional. The Carolina dog.
That's a pretty dog.
Yeah. And well, I'm from the Carolinas, so that stood out to me a lot. It stood out to me a lot.
My fiance, when I got with her, she's got a black version of that. Her name's Teeter. She looks identical to that.
You'll notice that a lot of the Sooners in the Carolinas look like this.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Sooners, the mutts in the Carolinas look like this.
They talked about the Indian dogs' influence breeding on that.
I can't give you that. I can. I'm gonna break down what I learned and why I steered away from it. But I also wanted to introduce it because I've never heard another chat mention the Carolina dog. But
well, like I've never heard people mention the Indians having dogs before Americans got here.
Yeah, and
they act like there was no dogs here whatsoever at all. Like, yeah, right. I don't believe that. You're telling me there was wolves here, but there wasn't no dogs?
Yeah.
Now who's making shit up?
Yep. The Carolina dog is actually a protected species as well. So to get one, you have to get it from one of these game preserves that have them preserved on there in their truest form. All right. Now, these are the things that I learned and what kind of steered me away from it. One, because the dog is more wild than it is domesticated, training them is almost like training a wolf. No matter how much you train a wolf, its instinctual nature that roam is going to be there. Right. So me keeping this dog, how we keep him on a chain setup or even in a kennel or even in a large fencing area is going to be not healthy for that animal. All right. This dog is a dog that will roam for 3 months and come back home after hunting season. Right. This is that kind of dog. And so being that they're a pack structure animal that naturally doesn't need human interaction to survive, their food drive and their prey drive cannot be targeted like a fully domesticated breed of dog, which was the main reason why I chose not to utilize the Carolina dog in my program. However, I think it's important to note this because for some of the higher level trainers, I've never seen one of them train. One of my goals with a Carolina dog would have been to get it K9 Good Citizen certified and to prove that it could do basic protection work. The same
And
thing.
this was like before you got Saki or the
Before,
Malinois.
this is when I was in Afghanistan before I came back and bought any dogs. Before I bought any dogs, this was at the top of my list, you know. And so upon doing research and realizing this dog is basically a dog that needs freedom. And the kind of training I do definitely restricts that kind of freedom that I think this dog deserves. Therefore, I chose not to purchase a Carolina dog. And I'm a pass the mic to my brothers for them to cook on anything they want to add to that.
Well, they remind me of blackmouth cur. Just the blackmouth cur has a short coat like Saki. They're built a lot like them and everything.
Yep.
That's a type of dog we have here, hunting dog.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Also, the dog has a predisposition to actually run from people when they're not properly domesticated, and it only takes one generation for these dogs to revert to their non-domestic qualities. So it's extremely important to understand that when you get one.
And I think that might, like with pit bull terriers, that might depend on the level of their breeding, where they're at. What type of individuals are they?
Yeah.
That
Hey,
might
what's the
affect how long
population?
it would take.
Say again?
Those dogs still got a population right now?
Yeah, they have a population. They absolutely do. They absolutely do.
Okay.
Average cost runs from $800 to $1,200, which when I came back from Afghanistan, I was looking to spend about $2,000 on a dog maximum. So they were definitely in my price range as well for those of y'all who are interested in getting one. They also have rescues for them because the population is dwindling. But it's not this podcast is not to popularize the breed, because I do believe that what Mr. Richard F. Stratton said, popularizing a breed can destroy the breed. However, what I did want to do is bring awareness to this breed because I wanted to show people, just from the podcaster side of things, the level of study and research I did before I decided to make my move on doing what I'm doing right now. But yeah, man, I just thought that the American Dingo.
You popularize anything, you'll destroy it.
Yeah. To include vehicles, because I thought the Ford Mustang was good until I seen a bunch of idiots driving them, you know. But
shit, you can't buy a Ford Ranger cheap in my area to save your life.
Yep.
And used to, you could get a nice one for $500.
That's what my grandpa had.
Right now.
That's what my grandpa had, man. He had a Ford Ranger, man. I grew up on them Ford Rangers, man. He had a white one and a red one. Well, the white one, the red one was a Toyota, but when you lift the hood, everything under it looks exactly like a Ford Ranger. It's a Ford Ranger.
Yeah, Toyotas, they're good trucks. That's what my fiance has. It's a really good truck. My dad has one. My papa has one.
Yep.
They're good trucks.
All right. Now, for anybody who wants to chime in on the Carolina dog throughout the rest of the show, now that we've introduced it, that's available to y'all. But I want to move on to the next thing that I saw last night, and this is another one that this another I got a text message. I had to respond to that. I can't multitask. But I wanted to share this with y'all because Elevated, this is going to tie into what you were saying earlier and what Big A was saying. All right, so I watched this podcast called Last Night's Conversation, and it typically deals with relationships, but they said something on there that was profound last night. They were talking about how men and women in relationships, or even non-heterosexual relationships, communicate. And it was saying that a lot of us expect our partner to just understand what we're saying without realizing our partner's level of education or understanding. And when I say education, I'm not talking about school education, not what grades you completed, but your level of ability to understand and interpret information and then reply to that information. The study that they brought up last night that I wanted to bring up to the dog world was this: 54% of Americans, that means 1 in 2, a little over 1 in 2, read and understand and comprehend on a level that is less than an 8th grade reading level. All right. Let me say that again. 54% of the people that you meet in your life read, comprehend, and communicate on a level that is less than a 7th grade reading level.
That means half the people can't spell anonymous.
Yeah, if it was 11, if it was 11 people, it'd be six of them. You know. Yeah.
Now, let me give y'all
that's why spelling bees were good for egos. Do we just need to start having spelling bee between the community?
But let me give you my personal accountability on that. Okay. When I communicate information, I don't always condense the information in a way that can be palatable to everybody, but I'm trying to reach everybody. That's on me. So what I'm doing right now is, for the people under the sound of my voice and the people that listen to this podcast later, I want to clearly articulate what that means to people. All right. So after hearing that, I wanted to do the research. So I looked at the research. 54% of people don't read on that level. So then what I started looking at was, what developmental skills are developed in the 8th grade. And this is what I came up with. I'm going to read this to y'all. I'm not going to pull it up on Google. I'm going to read it to y'all. Okay. Students in 6th through 8th grade are changing physically. Now, while that specific thing does not directly affect us anymore after the age of 25, these things are definitely developed at that time frame. And if your level of understanding and reading comprehension are affected at this level, these things would also be affected by your ability to take in new information. Students in 6th through 8th grade are going through changing social skills, emotional skills, and intellectual skills. During this time, children are struggling to define themselves as individuals and in relation to others. They begin to question the role of adults in their lives, and their peers take on increasing importance.
Man, I remember I went to Catholic school, like pre-kindergarten through 8th grade. So, they was jamming us with that knowledge. But I remember it was a few kids that didn't read as well. And I remember, when we was young as hell, we would laugh at them and shit. And we would be laughing at them and shit. Then after a while, I kind of got the picture, like it really wasn't no point in laughing at them. But
Let me explain this to y'all though. Okay. Because I'm an audio visual learner, right? Now in North Carolina, in 7th grade, you take a writing test, and in 8th grade, you take a computer skills test. I failed both of those tests and never passed them. But my grade point average was so high that they passed me on to the next grade anyways. And I'm not saying that. Let me clarify this too. When I tell you these stories, it's just like when a pastor tells you, "Hey, I was in the streets. I was a pimp, but I'm a pastor." This is not to entertain you, or you can joke about it. Like, I'm okay with joking about it because I've grown beyond that. But when a pastor tells you about their past life, what they're telling you is, through the grace and through mercy, I was able to achieve a level that is above the status that I was born into, or the status that I previously had. Right?
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, what Brother Supreme was saying was, okay, I never got picked on because I was still the kid that people cheated off my test. They still cheated off my test. I just couldn't write and type on a computer.
Well, I want to say this though. So, Henry Ford, he had, they said it was less than an elementary education, but he created Ford, and he had some of the best engineers in in America, at the time. Um, and they were having a meeting, or they were having like some conference or whatever with the news reporters, and the reporter, being slick, asked them, like, you've got a elementary education. How did you know, uh, do you worry about, everything? And, asking them about all this. And Henry Ford was like, I don't have to be the smartest person in the room. I just need to be smart. I just need to hire the smartest people in the room. So, when you start talking about, as far as communicating, it's a lot of people that have, as far as education wise, they might have a lower education, as far as formal education, but they might be the smartest people, in the room, as far as making choices and making the right moves and putting the right people in place. So when you start talking about communicating, from top to bottom, it's not just, on an educational thing. It could be also on a cultural thing. People from, we're talking about social media. So, we got people in Carolina, all across the United States, but that's just the United States. And when you talking about the United States, people in Cali living different than people in New York.
Yep.
So how they perceive information might be completely different. Then you got people that's overseas that's catching a bit of this, and their environment might be different. So information, being able to touch people in different ways, with the information, you can, just being able to relay it on different levels, it means a lot.
Hey, I want us to pause the show real quick. Shout out to RBG Lone Wolf with the $1.99 super sticker. Tip. Hey,
Hey,
we appreciate that, bro. We appreciate it, man. Thank you so much. Elevator, you were about to go?
Uh, so when I was in the seventh and eighth grade, mine was backwards from your experience. Uh, I mean, I did good in class. I would answer questions and all that shit. I just didn't fill out the papers, so I had bad grades. For one, I didn't
He
like a
said
lot of
I
my
ain't fill
teachers.
out the papers.
No, I just didn't fill out the papers, and my teachers would be so mad at me, bro. 'Cause I'd answer questions and everything, but then they get my paper and it wasn't filled out. So, but then in the eighth grade, I took that test, and I mean, all my tests I passed easy. I don't know why. I always have, but that was the reason I passed was because my test was so good, and that it didn't matter about my grades. It was funny you said you passed because your grades were so good they didn't care about your test.
yeah.
That means they were just trying to get our asses through.
Hey,
Hell
but I
yeah.
will.
They was trying to get us. I skipped the eighth grade. That let you know they was trying to get me up out of there.
But I will say this though. So
Like, they wouldn't go with the high schoolers. You're trouble.
I have what's called a nearly eidetic memory. And so what
Mhm.
would happen is I would be in class doodling and drawing pictures, but the teacher would call my name and ask me to repeat back what she just said or to answer the question, and I could
Yep.
do it. And
Yep. Me
Yeah.
too.
in my U.S. history class in 10th grade, I like you said, elevator. I never turned in homework. I thought homework was stupid, and so
Yeah, me too. I already had enough work to do at home.
Miss Henderson was her name at West Bladen High School. She said, Andre, she had for her end of course test. It was a 100 question test on U.S. history. She said, if you can get above a 90 on this test, I'll give everybody in this class 100 right now. I stood up and she asked me every question on that test, and I had to verbally answer it in front of the whole class. Now, I guess she thought she was going to embarrass me, but what ended up happening was I scored a 98 out of 100 on that test, and everybody passed. So even the people that weren't going to pass the test were like, you know what? I fucks with Dre. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you know, also, I doodled so much because I can draw a little bit. I doodled so much in class. My earth science teacher, he was like, you know what? Everything we talked about, I want you to do a mural. My school was only 4 years old when I got there. And if you go into the earth science hallway right now at West Bladen High School, the mural that's out there, I did that. And I took my cousin, Jiha, my cousin, because he wasn't going to pass the class at all. I actually was good at earth science. But he, I was like, you know what? I need somebody to paint. I just draw. I don't paint. So my cousin painted the mural, and we both
Hey,
got.
if you can draw, play with some paint, and eventually you'll get it.
Yeah,
It's not hard.
yeah. My
It's really
thing,
not.
and I forget to clean the brush before I move it on to a new color, man. And
I painted that picture of Chinaman that we raffled off at the pig picking.
nice.
It was
Nice.
on like a 2 foot by 1.5 foot canvas or whatever.
Yes.
It was framed and everything. A bunch of people signed it. It's on my YouTube channel.
Yeah, you got to pull that up and show that one, man, because I thought it was good. You showed it to me personally, man. I thought it was fire. But let me give y'all this too real quick while we're on the subject of learning things that are learning disabilities and learning issues that occur within the 8th grade. So after I looked at that list of what's affected in 8th grade, I want to look at what intellectual, emotional, and social skills were actually affected. So in the 8th grade, they noticed that most Americans start to develop their short attention span. Their
How much
need
is that because of like puberty?
could be. But what I'm saying is if they're developing learning disabilities in 8th grade for being able to articulate and communicate and read what's going on, then they're also developing these problems and skills to not be able to cope with the things I'm about to list off to you now. Brother City Boys in the building. What's good, big dog? So yeah, short attention spans typically start to develop and show their worst signs in 8th grade. And this one is big right here in the dog community. Needs for relevance in learning, which is why some of y'all, I can tell y'all what I'm talking about, and you can take that information and you can synthesize it and apply it to the dogs on your own. However, when you got to think about the statistics I gave you of 50% of people don't get it like this, I have to give you a complex subject and then dial it into the dogs. 1 in 2 people who you talk to, based upon statistics, one and two people you talk to, you're going to have to tell them a story and then tell them why the story is important to them.
Yeah. Yep. The
Hey,
reason
I
why.
find myself doing that a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
To even the people I care about.
Check this out. And this happens a lot with YouTube arguments. In the 8th grade, people don't develop opinions. They typically like to respond to choices. Did you ever notice that your tests in school normally were A through D? There were multiple choice instead of open-ended questions.
Yep.
Why do you think that
Yeah.
is?
Hey, I can answer a multiple choice like no other.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
was
multiple
my
choice
yeah
king,
that
huh?
hell yeah. Read the questions, then go back and read the answers. Then you go back and read the question, or whichever one.
I used to
Well,
read the questions. I used to just read. I read the first multiple choice question and then start reading the story because 9 times out
yeah,
of 10, the shit was
yep,
in order.
yeah.
Let
If
me
you
ask you
read,
this though.
that's how I did on English test too. I read the questions first, then I went back and read the passage, then answered the questions.
But I'm guilty of this one as a podcaster, and a lot of podcasters are guilty of this one. When you talk about giving choices, if I go, what's better, Red Boy or Eli, with the knowledge level and the comprehension that people are saying, what I would expect free thinkers to say is, I don't like Red Boy or Eli. I like pure Kobe dogs.
I
Those
swear to God.
those are the answers that I would rather hear, because that means this person ain't giving. They're not going off my answer choices. They're going off of the Bloom's taxonomy we just talked about. That's real. That's real.
Well, I take it a step further. Like I like Maverick dogs.
Facts. Facts. You know. All right. Another ability that is developed in the 8th grade typically is varied ability levels. The ability to see and differentiate between, okay, I'm good at basketball, not baseball. Apparently, what happens is, because we didn't develop this ability to identify levels of intelligence or skill, everybody thinks they're a top dog man. And you hear it. Bro, like everything I'm reading to you right now, I hear it all the time in the dog world. And I'm getting excited about it. I'm getting passionate about it because I really feel this. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, Elevated.
No, I'm just listening to you.
Well, shit, with everybody being a dog, man, one or two things could happen. Either the breed can excel or it could decline.
Well, like I would like to know how many a rough estimate of how many American Pit Bull Terriers are in the United States, because it's probably a lot,
You
like a
said
lot.
rescue?
No, no, no. How many Pit Bull Terriers, like real ones that are registered that people own in the United States? Like it's probably a lot. Compare that number to how many issues there is, and I guarantee you don't see. It's a lot lower of a percent than people think.
I say like 90,000.
Yeah,
Real ones, real ones.
Real ones, real deal.
yeah.
Holyfield, 90,000.
How,
Okay.
so there's certain YouTubers that have 35 and 40,000 subscribers on YouTube roughly, and
Right.
some of their followers have two, have one, but then some of them might have 15, 25. That's where that number gets hard to guess
Right.
with this breed.
But guess this. Get this though. Okay, because it's another one that we're another skill we're supposed to develop in the 8th grade that has a learning disability identified by the American Psychological Institute. Having varied interests, and I'm guilty of this one. I'm guilty of this one. Like no matter how much I like other breeds, I can't see myself owning another breed besides the American Pit Bull Terrier. And
Yeah.
I see people in my chat all the time that say, I own Borbles, I own Connie Corsos, I own Bullies. And we blast them for that, because what happens is we haven't realized that just because our interest is one and we're one way, that varied interest is actually a developmental skill to be able to like what you like.
Yep.
And some people are so afraid and so underdeveloped in this quality that they can't even admit that it's okay to like other stuff.
I can tell you one thing about them people that own pit bulls and other dogs.
I
When
have
they
a
get
bully
yard
asleep
visits,
right here.
hold on, elevator. When they get yard visits, I bet they keep going.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bet they keep going.
Yep. Go ahead, Elevator.
I have a bully laying right here on my couch. I mean,
That that white
she,
that white
yeah,
one.
yeah,
She,
she's my most expensive dog. She's on the couch. She's the best inside dog. She's never showed no aggression. Like when I bought a bully, I bought a real bully. I could take her to shows. Like A lot of
Yeah,
people
it should be
like.
nobody hating on you for that.
Well, I don't get no hate. I don't show her off because she's my dog. I don't care about showing her the world.
But
But
think about this though, Elevated. Think about this though. With that dog, right? The most expensive dog you got, you talk about it at least because at the end of the day, that's your varied interest and the acceptance of a community is that we lack the developmental skill to apply varied interest and realize how important that is. That you are not only are you having another dog, but you're also learning the skills to deal with this other dog, and some of those skills benefit your game dogs.
yeah, yeah, there's nothing wrong with it. She's different. She's definitely different.
Yeah,
But she's still high prey drive. Like I can flirt pole her, I can get her worked up. But like other than that, like I can leave her in my house. I don't have to put her in a crate. I don't care what anybody says. I don't have to put her in a crate. Like none of that. She's just perfect. She really does awesome. When my aunt, she didn't know that she had a medical issue going on. Maggie kept getting up on her, and she had licked the right side of her head a bunch. And she was like, it started to weird my aunt Ashley out, you know.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
shout out to my aunt Ashley, the gamest woman I know. She kept licking her in the side of her head. Well, it made my aunt Ashley go get a brain scan, and she found out that she had a brain tumor right there where Maggie kept licking her. And
man.
not long after that, she had a seizure, and Maggie laid there next to her. And then the second time she had a seizure, and she was like gonna hit herself with her hand, and Maggie put her head between her head and her hand, so she was hitting Maggie in the head. And she said Maggie just laid there with her the whole time, like just slapping Maggie, like not real hard, but like in a jerking manner. Like
No,
she would go in there and like alert my aunt Ashley to sit down. My aunt Ashley figured it out. Like if she got all excited to sit down because she was about to have a seizure, and she
man.
ain't trained for that. That's just who that dog naturally is.
Hey,
Yeah.
and let me say two things real quick. One, peace, love, and soul power in the building.
Soul power.
And then
So
for those of y'all who don't speak Carolina English, because I don't know if y'all know this, it ain't a black or white thing. Elevated speaks Carolina English. He wasn't saying my and Ashley. He was saying my aunt Ashley.
Oh, we know.
Yeah,
Oh
some people
yeah.
don't. Some people
Oh,
don't. Hey, Elevated, you
they
country.
ain't listening. They ain't listening good enough.
Yeah,
Hey, elevate. I be having seizures too. My dog be on my ass.
Yep.
If I
It's
have a
like,
seizure, like I had a seizure the other day, she did not even want to go outside use the bathroom. She stayed put where she was at. She wasn't having it. She was like, "What the fuck this nigga at?"
well, I
yeah.
mean, that just proves they're on a different level than even we are sometimes.
It also proves how much they can read us when we don't think they can.
Yeah.
I want to read this
Well,
comment
like
from
if
student for life.
your energy while you're messing with your dogs off, for sure they can read that.
I want to read this comment from student for life. He says, "Man, Dre, you telling my story, brother. I was misdiagnosed with a learning disability in the 6th grade and didn't realize that I had really had a learning superpower until my mid-20s." Hey, that's facts. And you know what? The same way it's hard to identify a learning disability, it's typically hard to identify a genius. And that creative scale we were talking about on that Bloom's taxonomy, that's creative level is genius level, by the way, y'all. That's why every breeder is not a good breeder. Um, Brother Shonuff said he's talking about the lack of variety. He said he only dates Spanish women.
Don't know crazy though,
Yeah,
motherfucker.
crazy as hell.
God, he made me stop being crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then Tony says, and it shows how much the dogs care to attend to us versus doing anything else. Facts. That's facts. That's big facts. Check this one out, y'all. Another thing that is lost in the 8th grade when not properly developed is concrete thinking. Being able to think for yourself and stand on your own devised opinion. Mm.
Mm.
How many
Well,
yes men do we see online,
That
y'all?
that goes along with, so in the eighth grade, like confidence is lower. That basically is confidence.
Yep.
it's about okay. So out of let's say I did a population of all the dog men that really be on the chats. Let's say it's 1,000 of us. Okay, out of that 1,000 of us, 467.3 of them, yes, man.
Yeah. Well, based upon the statistics, one in every two is a yes man.
So I was damn near right.
Yeah. Yeah. This last one though is gonna blow your mind. And this is just on the intellectual developmental. I still got to go through the emotional developmental list and the social developmental list for 8th graders. The last thing on the intellectual development list for 8th graders, and I'm just applying this to the dog world, is the orientation to the present, to actually deal with what's going on right now.
That's why the majority of young boys make bad decisions 8th, 9th, 10th grade. Right in there. It could change their whole life trajectory.
I agree, Elevate, but I want to say this. If the biggest argument I've heard in the last couple of weeks is we can't get with the present, but there's a reason for that. I got to stop being mad at people for literally having these disabilities, because at the end of the day, it's not a disability. It's the lack of the American education system to get people up to par where they can actually orient themselves and deal with what's going on in front of their face. That's why that, tied with the short attention span, is why they distract us from real issues.
These niggas got short attention span. I want to say another thing about the yes man subject. Man, we ain't even got the yes man thing. It's like they don't understand that they don't have to be that person's friend or associate or anything, because at the end of the day, we all competition. And we all could be cool, but as far as the yes man,
yeah,
you feel me? It's
I'm
like,
super cool and nice, but when I show up to the show, I show up 6, 8 dogs deep, ready to show dogs. Like, it's just, some people are serious about it.
Yes, sir. And I want to read this out loud. Student of Life says, standing on business, the mission statement, building better people through better dogs. Yeah, absolutely. And check this out, y'all. So the next list I'm about to go through are the emotional things that are expected to be developed in the 8th grade, right? Check this one out. And I'm guilty of this. I can only speak on me. I'm guilty of this as a podcaster, and I'm certain the other podcasters may or may not agree with this. The first thing on the list is fluctuating emotions. We are all over the place. We are like a young lady on her menstrual cycle, and it is disgusting.
smelling like metal.
Yep. 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 Like iron, like blood, right? Check this out. Extreme sensitivity is supposed to be learned how to be dealt with in the 8th grade. You can't be sensitive about everything. All these things I'm reading to you right now, I promise you, this is just on the American Psychological Association websites for developmental skills in the 8th grade, right? If you think about how easy it is for one of us to get triggered by what somebody else says, to include myself, I never remove myself from these things. But as I was reading, I was like, wow, everything I'm reading, I hear it every day. Every day online, I hear it every day. I don't even know what ambivalence means, but that's on the list. Let me Google ambivalence, because that's another one that says we're supposed to develop in 8th grade. What the hell is ambivalence? Okay, ambivalence is the state of having mixed feelings or contradictory ideas about something or someone. So if we had developed our ambivalence, that list would not have triggered people so much. We were supposed to develop that skill in middle school, y'all. The ability to have differing opinions about other things and other people without being upset. Social ambivalence. Emotional skill developed in the 8th grade that we lack.
Well, like what people don't understand is if we all 4 made a list, we'd have 4 different lists.
Facts.
Yeah.
And that's and the last thing I want to say about that before I give it back to you, Elevated, is, and that's okay. It's supposed to be okay.
Yeah.
All right, check this one out. Static behavioral tendencies. Basically, if you're going to be a gangster, if you're going to be a yes man, if you're going to be whatever it is, that's supposed to be developed in the 8th grade as well. Static behavioral tendencies. And also, check this one out. Extreme self-consciousness. Who are you and how well can you identify yourself and talk about you to other people? This is also a job skill that a lot of people can't get hired because extreme self-consciousness is exactly what a resume is. When you develop a resume, your resume is you telling a company what's so good about you and why they should hire you. And we lack these skills that were supposed to be developed in the 8th grade. And then we online talk about dogs and the dog business.
Yeah.
Redley says it's an art to it. Your first choice is 75% correct. Hey, that's why they say go with your first mind.
Mm-hmm.
Niall C says you spitting. I hear so many people talk about articles, then you go read the article and they misrepresenting the information. Yes. Hey, let me go and rinse you up, bro. That's profound enough for you to get rinsed up right there, brother Niles. And thank you for coming through, man. I haven't seen you here before.
Yeah.
You are definitely most welcome over here at Samurai Kennels, bro.
Yes, I am.
All right, y'all. And like I said, that's just two of the tiers. That was just the intellectual and emotional developmental skills that are supposed to happen in the 8th grade. Let's go to social. Okay. Ooh, this one about to hurt some people's feelings. The desire for independence, the desire to stand on one's own thinking, the desire for independence, the number one social skill that's supposed to be developed in the 8th grade. Check this one out. The next one, ooh, this one is bad. Sensitivity to peer pressure. Awareness of self and others. The ability to identify the practice of reclusive behavior. This is how you stop suicides from happening. We're not developing these skills in the 8th grade. And then we come online, we're misguided. Lauryn Hill had this album called The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, man. And I'm trying to get this back to y'all, man, because as I see my flaws on this list, I just want to practice that personal accountability. All right. Check this one out. This one is crazy. The ability to change interest and need new priorities. I'm gonna leave that one right there. Y'all gonna preach on that one. Hey, give me an amen on that one. I need an amen on that one.
Nah, message. Amen. Yeah.
Brother Mike in the building. Salute. Let me read that one again. The ability to change interest and create new priorities. 8th graders supposed to be able to do that. 8th graders also begin to have the need to focus on their role models. If you are going to be a podcast, this is where the responsibility comes in for podcasts and be a public figure. If you know that the 1 and 2 people, every other person you meet needs a role model of some kind, right? And you are a public figure, whatever you say, based on all these other things I've read, is gospel to them. It is a innate and inherited responsibility to give out fruitful information. Fruitful information. Because it says right here in the 8th grade, we develop a need to focus on role models. The idea of acceptance is also something that is developed in the 8th grade. This is where you get the popular kids versus the unpopular kids, the good dogs versus the not good dogs. And then finally on the list for social skills developed is the ability to deal with bullying and bullying issues. All of these skills that I read to you, whether you're listening to this on a replay or you're actively listening to this, just think about even just my arguments. I don't want to put it in anybody else. Just the arguments I've had, I've lacked at least 10 of those skills at any given time on the internet. At least 10 of them. And I'm only going to practice my personal accountability because I'm man enough to say I didn't always get it right. I'm going to read this comment from Student for Life and I'm going to pass the mic to my brothers. He says, I always check myself to be sure that I'm not being a yes man because I find myself agreeing with those I converse with. I now realize that is because I surround myself with the right people. And I want to add a statement that I learned from Oprah Winfrey on that. You are the average of the 5 people that you surround yourself with the most. If you hang out with 5 millionaires, you will be the 6th. But if you hang out with 5 crash outs, dummy is stamped on your forehead.
Yep. I don't know if it's just a North Carolina thing, but everybody's granny would be like, them boys is trouble. Don't hang out around them.
Yep.
Yeah. And A, they were right.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you a story about that too, Elevated. So I was talking to Big A about that. I have what's called, I'm a psychology major. I'm working on my master's in psychology, but I have a bachelor's in sociology. I also have an associate's in education, right? And so, and I say these accolades just to give y'all where I'm coming from with this.
I knew that's what you was doing, fucking with motherfuckers, experiments and shit.
With all this education I have, right? With all this education I have, one thing that I have never been able to learn for myself is intuition. And I'll give you an example. Elevated has natural intuition. He's damn near a psychic. Big A, even Supreme can tell me when I'm about to do some stupid shit before I do it. And I was telling Big A this, and I want to explain this to y'all about y'all homeboys that are super intellectual, right? Super intellects lack intuition because what they do is they learn from experimenting. So if I haven't experimented with it for myself and you tell me I shouldn't do that, you're going to have to give me a reason or an experiment so I can put it in my Rolodex of experiments of why I shouldn't do it. Okay? Because I'm the kind of person, when you tell me I shouldn't do something, I'm like, well, why? Look, and I'll tell y'all the story. This story was created in my military college, right? There was this girl that I wanted to date so bad. I thought she was so fine. And my homeboy was like, she ugly. She's a dog. He married this girl. You know, and I was like, okay, intuition would have told me, okay, he's telling you that because he's telling you that to keep you away from that, but I don't have intuition. So I trusted his counsel because that's who I kept around me. And he married, they're still married to this day with kids, right? And no on him, but I'm just giving an example of those experiences in my life have told me I got to test this theory for myself. That's how that's how my life works.
Mm-hmm.
That's how my life works. And I told Big A, there's been time he told me we were dropping a dog off in Houston, right? He told me not to drive into the city of Houston because the traffic was going to be bad. And I'm thinking to myself, I've driven through Miami, I've driven through Norfolk, Virginia, and rush hour. There's no way the traffic you're telling me is going to be as bad as what you say it is. 6 hours later, we're still trying to get into Houston. You know, and Big A has said, I want you to understand that Houston is in the top 5 largest cities in America. And based on what you're telling me, you've never driven in one of the top 5 largest cities in America. That's how he would have had to break it down for my immature dumb ass to get the message he was trying to send to me.
In high traffic time.
And rush hour traffic.
Yeah, rush hour traffic. But I, on another note though, I remember it was a conversation that we had, and I'm not gonna go all into it, but the bottom line was we need to be handling business first.
Yes.
And a situation that happened, and I looked at Dre, and I go to tell Dre, like, I told you so. Dre looked at me, say, nah, it's not the time.
Hey, me and Throwback be having trips like that. No shit.
Yeah, man.
We've had some trips like that.
Yeah.
We blew the whole spark plug out of it and ran to the dog show on 7 cylinders one time and back home.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh, we had a flat tire. We had a flat tire going to Houston. Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of fun being on the road.
Oh yeah.
It ain't fun when Big A sitting over there pissed off though. Let me explain this.
Hey, I'm like Big A in that way though. I ain't gonna lie.
Hey, look, Big A ain't no little dude, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm 205 pounds, right? I'm 205 pounds. I don't look like it, but I sink straight to the bottom of the swimming pool. I'm solid. I'm solid for my stature. Big A is bigger than me. And I'm thinking if he decides we're gonna get out and squabble, I don't want to do this right now, especially in traffic in Houston. And then Big A has the ability. I don't have the ability to shut up. Big A does. That's the worst thing you can do to me in a car ride is to be quiet on the car ride. I want to talk the whole time. You know what I'm saying? So now my wingman is over here quiet. I know he's mad because he done told me what not to do, and I did it anyway. You understand what I'm saying, man? So shouts out, man. Shouts out to Shreveport Mike as well, bro. Yeah,
Yeah.
318 in the building, man. Stand up.
Hey.
Man. Hey y'all. So today we were cooking on for those of y'all who got here late, man, we were cooking on first Bloom's taxonomy and just the understanding of how people communicate and down to even selling puppies, man. Then I showed y'all a breed of dog, and I'm gonna try to elaborate upon different breeds that I've either researched or bring on experts on the breeds that I'm talking about, because this is now a dog channel. Okay. And then finally we went into why we have the issues we have online. And what I learned was that most Americans you deal with have at best an 8th grade reading level, which means 1 in 2 people don't understand what you're trying to convey to them. And no matter how much you say it to them, they have to reach that level of understanding for themselves. All right. And I wanted to clearly articulate that to the chat and to the channel today. At this point, I'm opening the mic up. I'm going to drop the link in the chat again for anybody who wants to come up and maybe elaborate upon something I missed or just pontificate with us on here. And I'm also going to get a video pulled up of that coyote hunting thing. I posted it on our community page, but I want to share something. And then I'm going to just use Arrowhead and Mike Dan as example. They're old school dog men, right? Real dog men. And I want to show something, and now I want to talk about another topic before I shut the live down today. So y'all brothers, go ahead and cook. I'm gonna post the link, and I'm gonna get that video queued up for y'all. But y'all go ahead and cook.
Hey Dre, what was your besides Saki, what was your favorite dog that you've had?
All right. So the dog that got me like into the dogs heavily was this dog named Rocket.
Mm-hmm.
Rocket was a dog was he was everything Saki was and more athletic.
Mm-hmm. Was he bigger than Saki?
No, he was actually about a 45-pound dog condition. I say he'd probably be like a 42 or 43.
Okay. And Saki would be, and so those him and Saki are your top 2 dogs. Out of those 2 dogs, if you could only have one litter, it's the last litter that ever gonna have it. This is it. It's the last litter. Which one? Who would you want to get a litter from?
Saki, hands
Why?
down.
Why?
So Rocket specifically, welcome to the panel, my brothers. Hello.
What's up?
Hey,
I'm on my
hey.
lunch break, so I'm gonna tap in for until about 12:30.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So Saki, Rocket was human aggressive, a genuine man biter.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I ended up letting him go was I had my first son.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought home a 6-week-old puppy that I also bred. I bred Rocket to a pure red boy female, and a red boy jocko female. And he was trying to eat this 6-week-old puppy. So this dog had no discernment for threat versus non-threat, right?
Yeah.
And because of that, I let this dog go. I was like, man, with my first kid, I'd be dogging if I let my child be attacked by a dog, right?
Yeah.
Where even though this dog was superior athletically and performance-wise to Saki, Saki's more balanced all around.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable with Saki around my family and around where the places I like to frequent. And that's why I would pick Saki to propagate that bloodline.
Okay. Now, if you were single and just, active, just actively out there doing whatever you do, who you would take Rocky?
Yeah, I would have, because as far as like the protection world, that's what they're looking for, a dog that is no bullshit, like foaming at the mouth and really wants to hurt. They want to see a dog that is really going to hurt something when it's
Yeah.
told to hurt something.
Right.
He didn't have an off switch, so with him I would have had to build an off switch. Where with the Saki, he has an off switch. I had to build his own switch. And
Yeah.
yeah, man.
What type of bloods would you like to see Saki bred to?
Personally, it's okay for me. And this is not no dick riding stuff. You, Fat Bill, anybody whose dogs I can see now, because I don't want to breed to a bloodline of the past. And I'm not saying I don't want the bloodlines in there. What I'm saying is I need to be able to see the dog I'm breeding to and assess and evaluate the characteristics that dog could bring into my house, right?
Yeah.
Like by you showing your yard tour videos and me seeing how your dogs interact with you and your family, seeing them in person at the dog show, I'm like, that I could have around my kids.
Well, and how
Yeah.
concerned are you with keeping the color? That's the hard part about it.
I'm not.
Like If we made a cross, you would definitely see the dark and the light, like Saki.
And
I
so
get both pretty evenly.
I'm
What
not. Go ahead, Solo. Go ahead, Solo.
no, I want to know elevated. What blood you running?
Mason's he's a Bolio Jeep dog basically. Like I can send you his pedigree. But and then I crossed it to my mom or my dad's stuff that's like heavy termite with a little bit of bully son stuff in it. So like I've got a bunch of dogs down from them through inbreeding and line breeding.
So you the one that did the yard tour?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
seen that video.
The
Okay.
dude that was with me is my buddy Throwback. He goes to all the dog shows with me. He owns a bunch of dogs off of my dogs. He's got like 11 or something off of my dogs.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, shout out to J83, man. You're welcome, brother. And Niles C asked a good question too, y'all. Niles asked, are dogs pack animals or group animals? And I would say they're pack because there's a pack structure, whereas a group could be like a team. Like a basketball team is a group, what I consider a group. A group of individuals that have a common goal, whereas a pack has a structure. They have leadership, they have subordinates, and they even have omegas or outcasts. You know, like a small society. A group is typically everybody's on the same level, in my opinion. But I'm not.
It would be based on where a breeding program's at in the process of making high percentage dogs. If you got a bunch of high percentage dogs, then they would kill each other off before they could even establish a pack formation. But
I think naturally
that would be establishing the pack formation, you know, but it wouldn't be a pack at
but
the end. But
yeah,
yeah,
because they would all die off, so that wouldn't work. You'd
I
have to
think
have like a
dogs
lot of them.
are naturally pack animals, but with the American Pit Bull Terrier and certain breeds, with man's input and man's breeding, they've kind of tampered with that. But even with American Pit Bull Terriers, it's still a pack structure because my dogs don't look at each other the same way they look at a dog off the yard, you know? So they still have sort of a pack mind state, even though they're quote unquote game bred pit bulls, you know?
yeah.
Just most other breeds of dogs that you could build a pack off of, I believe you'd have to put twice the pit bull terriers in the same place and let them, because they would mangle each other. The more aggressive ones. I mean, it would take them a lot longer to establish that.
Man, hey,
Because
now
some bloods are hurting each other at really young ages. Not all of them, but some of them. And out in the wild, who's going to split them up?
Hey, so Niles asked another good question. He said, do your male dogs take care of pups? My male Saki avoids the pups. He gets annoyed with them and he just walks away from the pups. But in other breeds, like the shepherds that I had, they would protect their pups, but not other pups. They treat it just like a wolf pack. If he read it and it was his prodigy, the females he would protect through life. The males, once they reach a certain age, there would be a pecking order established, and then they kind of just grouped together and kind of congregated. And go back to what Solo was saying in that regard. Every dog yard I've been to, you know, the dogs know who the top dog in that yard is, even on game dog yards. Like there's most people got a male that only probably their second or third best male would even, if he got off the chain, would even go over there to hit that. He's gonna hit another chain spot before he hits that chain spot because that male is the dominant dog on that yard. And that's just what I've seen in the yards I've been to.
Between Haywood and Jarvis, if one of them got loose, I would have a bad situation on my hands.
Yeah.
I had a female.
Pretty close in weight. They're pretty close in weight, really close in age. It would be bad.
I had a female that was totally nuts, right? From a small puppy. I mean, even in her litter, they killed the only other female in the litter. The puppies did.
Yeah.
And I already had a grown female when I got her as a puppy. So when I brought her home, it was just me and my partners used to just laugh at this little puppy that's trying to hit this grown female. But you see that dog on my profile? She didn't show no aggression to him, man. She showed aggression to every other animal, including her own puppies once they got a certain age. but she never did. In fact, one day I let her out thinking that the mail was put up. I forgot that he was on the yard. So I hear like, her. And I
Yeah.
look out like, oh shit, goblin out there. And
Mhm.
I guess he had a ball or a toy, and she tried to grab it, and her ass ran away. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it was
Yeah.
something about that dog that she just knew, like, man, I ain't messing with that dog. And it was crazy to see because, I mean, even when I bred her, you know, even within that, she started to like get aggressive to the other male that I had, which was her uncle that I was breeding her to. So I had to, I had to do something, what I mean, to keep them from, locking up on each other during the breeding process. But she respected that dog so much, and only him.
Mhm.
So I guess in her mind, I don't know whether that was like big daddy of the yard or what, but yeah, she didn't have no smoke for that boy that's on my profile, man.
Yeah.
When I was young, my dad had Thor and Dixie, and he had a 16 by 10 kennel with a wooden doghouse that was insulated and had a light in it, and it was big enough for two dogs. He had Thor and Dixie in there, and he had them in there, and he let them breed, and then she got fat, and then she had puppies, and Thor laid outside of the doghouse while she was having the puppies, and she had all her puppies, and then my dad never split them up, and the puppies grew up to be 12 weeks old, and then we sold them and stuff on the internet, and that was in like 2006. And both of these dogs were serious. Dixie was vicious, and Thor was about it. He was the grandson to Termite.
Yes, sir. I want to give a shout out to Constant Pressure Kennels in the building, as well as MK Knit Fit in the building. Salute to all y'all brothers, man. Hey, I'm gonna show y'all this video, and this is for anybody, brother Dickie, brother Arrowhead, specifically Arrowhead, and some of the Mike Dan, some of the older guys, man. Before I have the discussion, I'm gonna show y'all this video clip. I don't know if these are greyhounds.
Greyhounds.
They're
It
greyhounds.
say greyhound. It say greyhounds, but they hunting, so they'll put whatever with it. But you guys make hey, put it in the chat if you know exactly what it is. But it does say greyhounds.
Oh, and what Arrowhead said about Jeep playing with pups, Mason's the same way. He'll tug a war with them, and he'll sound like vicious, like he's trying to scare them, but they don't get scared. He won't never hurt them. He'll tug a war with small pups. Like, I've let him be around a bunch of them. I mean, he's old, so like I've showed him lots of his pups, had him around them.
Yeah.
People that have my dogs are close to me sometimes, so that I get to see them a lot.
Yeah, those dogs definitely got to be mixed with something other than just greyhound.
Yeah, they definitely not pure greyhound. We can see that just
Yeah,
from her head and neck.
yeah. But watch when he let them go though. They go to hog. Yeah. Hey, what's the name of their channel too, Dre? So
Let me look it up for y'all, man, because I want to give y'all this. I'm gonna put it in the chat too, so y'all can check
You,
these brothers out.
Okay.
But this is the video I was talking about
them
yesterday.
young boys are out there having the time of their life.
Yep. And he
Hunting
got
with dogs is the most fun thing you can ever
he's
do.
got yeah, and he's got a release button in the cabin to let the dogs out. You see him like on the
Yeah,
side.
Did
so
you watch that video I sent you, Dre?
not yet,
Of
and
the
I got to bring some of those up on the live too, bro. I got to bring them
of
up on
the
the live.
well, it shows just the difference of running coons out there versus here. It's a
Hmm.
completely different process, completely different dog, everything. Them dogs
Hmm.
wouldn't do nothing up here. They're too big.
Yeah, yeah. And if you notice, they're in fields, they're in open terrain. That benefits the
Yeah,
dogs.
And that's not
big time.
shading on them. They're just not built for the terrain.
Yeah.
They're like a drag car. They can haul ass down that big straight flat.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. And
You need something with a little 4x4 up here.
when this video is over, I'm also gonna post this link in the description to this video again, just so people can see it, for themselves in its entirety. But look at him working on that coyote. Greyhound or not, I didn't, I thought greyhound were just for chasing a fake rabbit around the track.
Nah.
I've never seen real working greyhounds or that type dog with that slender build like that work like this. You know.
Yeah, they sight hounds.
Well,
Yeah.
A
Yeah,
greyhound is a
sight
sight hound. If they can see it, because they were bred to hunt. You
Yeah,
know,
that's
people
yeah.
start using them for racing and stuff. But yeah, they hounds. Anything that's a hound is bred to hunt.
that's exactly why I say they wouldn't do good up here. You can't sight hunt here. It's gone before you even see it. The hounds they hunt here are scent hounds. They only track by scent. And they'll still, if they might see it once or twice throughout but when it trees, they catch it by scent most of the time.
I mean, all dogs have the whole gauntlet, which is the sight, the smelling, the hearing, you know, but certain dogs are bred to rely more on certain traits. Like a bloodhound is bred to rely on their nose more. A greyhound is bred to rely on their sight more, you know. Even though, yeah, of course, a bloodhound can see, and a greyhound can smell a lot better than we can, you know.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I just shared that, and I wanted my older brothers to like Mike, Dan, and them just to give me their opinion on it because I'm never gonna say what somebody added to their stuff, man. But seeing real working dogs, man, especially my hog doggers out there, man. Do you think this is something that could have been added to a program to make the program better for working? I'm not talking about that historically speaking. I'm talking about now. Like I've never really seen hog hunters talk about crossing this into their stuff. But man, that
crossing what into their stuff?
Like those sprinting type dogs like that, those rangy dogs like that. Shout out to Usam as well.
The thing about it is you'll see a lot of people use walkers and plot hounds and red bones and blue ticks and black and tans. Like there's a bunch of types of hounds that are used for that. And then they use blackmouth curs and Catahoula curs.
Yeah.
Like there's several, it's all them same type of scent sight. They use both.
Yeah. Yeah, man. I was just so impressed, man. And like with this being a dog channel now, we can talk about these things, man, and talk about them and develop those abilities to have varying interests, you know. But yeah, bro, I think that would be really fun to get out and watch those guys do. I don't have the land or the equipment to do something like that, but
yeah,
these guys get contracted out in Nebraska and places like that to go eradicate coyotes off the land. And because of like Elevator was saying, because it's open terrain, those sight hounds can get out and really do what they were bred to do. And I compare that to people that say like, you know, you can't do this with your dog, you can't do that with your dog. I've never personally, I would have said, you know, I wouldn't hunt coyotes with a greyhound or greyhound type dog until I saw this video, you know. But after you see it, then what do you say?
Yeah.
And that video I sent you on Messenger, the greatest bear hunt ever or whatever it is, that video is awesome. You need to share that. That video is awesome. Any dog enthusiast needs to watch that.
All right, let me see.
It's about an old man bear hunting. It's good. You could show it on the live, probably.
And for the Karens out here that's opposed to hunting coyotes, you know, watch some videos of coyotes killing pet dogs, coming in people's yards, snatching up their little chihuahuas and running away with them, killing their cats. You know, they do this, you know.
Yeah.
Well, and they can breed quite a bit.
Yeah, you know.
So
they need to be eradicated, man. They need to be eradicated from those areas, you know.
Oh, what's good?
Y'all, man.
Salute.
Hey, brother. I don't know if any of y'all are familiar with this guy on Instagram, Cali Catchers. He has a awesome knowledge of purposefully bred cross dogs. Where he does do different crosses with sight hounds, Great Danes, a lot
and
of
he gets crosses from other people.
Yeah, yes indeed, man.
Yep. That guy's awesome.
He is, man. I mean, you can tell he's got extensive knowledge in working dogs, man, in all fields from protection to hunting. He used to have a website up that will show you pictures, videos and stuff like that of his dogs taking down coyotes. He really introduced me to a lot of breeds that weren't typically recognized and stuff, but they're the
Yeah.
ones that are still out here really doing that work, man.
Yeah. And what's his name again?
Cali catchers, like California, but
Uh-huh.
Cali catchers.
Okay.
You're gonna love it, man. I'm telling you. I went down a rabbit hole, man. I looked at every post he had about 3 days, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got a couple of different programs. He's got a mid-sized dog program that he works with, and then also a large dog program as well, man. He's got most the baddest Neo I've ever seen, or Neo Cross as well, man. That can still work, can still breathe. He breaks it
Yeah.
down from the nose to the tail of the reasons you want a dog. You want their conformation to be a certain way because, of course, form follows function, and he really gave me a greater understanding of that.
Yeah, man. I'm going to follow Cali Catchers right now. Elevated. Which thumbnail is it? Because bro, you sent me a ton of dog content yesterday.
Hold up.
Yep, just subscribe to Cali. Just follow Cali Catchers, man. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that, bro. I appreciate that.
You gonna love it, bro.
Yeah, because we can always talk about it, on here. And so what's today? Today Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Okay, all right, yeah. So I go back to work tomorrow, unfortunately. Blah.
Okay.
But unless they get a federal down day for the burial of the president, man,
Yeah.
I hope they do. If they do, we'll be going live tomorrow. But the next podcast, I think I'm going to do the big three herders.
Okay.
The big three herders.
When you say the big three herders, with like the border collie, Australian cattle dog, and what else? Kelpie.
So no, I wasn't. And see, I'm glad you said that. So I was talking about the Dutch Shepherd, the Malinois, and the German Shepherd. So
German Shepherd. Yeah.
I think I need to recapture that. Then I think I need to recapture that. The big three repurposed herders.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
indeed, man. And I've seen some of those. I've always been real impressed by working Australian cattle dog, man. A mid-sized dog, but they got some grit.
Yeah. Shouts out to Iron Shark Canine Training, brother Stan over there with
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Stan, he did one with 2 decoys attacking him, and he was calling the dog off one decoy and putting it on the other decoy. It was good. It was good, man.
Was that dog Boots?
Yeah, Boots. Yeah, Boots.
Oh, look, that is even more impressive. That's an Australian Shepherd. I was talking about the Australian cattle dog. Man, let me tell you, I salute that dude triple time because I ain't never seen an Australian Shepherd work like that, bro.
And you know what? You just showed my ignorance. I don't know the difference between an Australian cattle dog and an Australian Shepherd. See, we're gonna have to break this down.
Australian Shepherd, they got a little different, a little shorter coat. They're going to look a lot more like the Carolina dog, believe it or not. I believe they are infused into the Carolina dog or the American Dingo. They got a lot of grit to them. They are, I'd say, around the size of like a lot of our American Pit Bull Terriers. They range a little bit more, and got a little wide skull. And for the most part, I've always seen both of them have totally erect ears.
Yeah.
Is it like a
prop
blue
tails
healer?
too. Every Australian Shepherd I've seen, I don't know whether they born like that or they doctor tails, but
Australian Shepherds, I think they dock them. Australian cattle dogs, for the most part, they leave that tail. But I have seen some that were that have been docked as well. I guess it depends on what livestock they're working.
is
Somebody will have to look it up. Is the Australian cattle dog the same thing as the blue healer and the red healer?
They are very related. They're related. Like the healer and the Australian cattle dog are cousins. You know what I mean? Like they're in each other's genealogy. I just can't remember which one came first.
I'm glad you're going in this direction, Dre, because I love dogs in general, man. American Pit Bull Terrier happens to be my favorite breed, but man, I respect all of them, man. I think it was a border collie, man. I seen a video, man. I think the brother DK posted it on his page, Break Bread. And man, they let this dog out, man, and he ran, and it must have been like 50 sheep or something, man. He got them together, man. He went out there, rounded them up, and got them sheep in that pen or whatever, man. And it was just phenomenal. Then ran back to the truck and it was just like, man, wow, that dog ain't no joke, man.
So it says the Australian cattle dog, also known as blue or red heeler. So yeah, they are the same thing. We have a bunch of them around here. A lot of people owns them dogs.
Yeah, my
Yes,
auntie had a
some of them
Australian
can be
Shepherd
mean as hell. They'll bite your ass.
Yeah.
named,
Oh yeah.
named Chocolate. He was like brown and white, purebred Australian Shepherd. Yeah.
Yeah, this video is awesome.
And I just skipped forward to the portion right before they get into the actual bear hunt. I wanted to share that with y'all, man. But also, Solo, Student for Life, and Elevated. I didn't know about that, you know. And so, like when we talk about these breeds, man, look at that bear in the tree. But when we talk about these breeds,
This is close to me.
I don't know
That's a
the
plot
dogs
hound.
I thought I did, bro. But
Yeah,
that's
hey brother, that's why I changed my moniker to Student for Life for the exact reason, bro. I thought I knew it all, and then was educated, and that's what we're here for: to sharpen one another, educate one another, and build.
you got to be a brave man to go out there and hunt with a bear, man, because you can hit a bear and drop it out the tree and not kill it.
Well, there's
Man,
25. There's 25 dogs there, or more. They let them out in sections because they run the bear for so long.
Yeah.
Elevator, are those flats?
Yeah, those are plot hounds.
All right.
About every dog there you'll see that's a plot hound. That's a pretty motherfucker. I had one named Joe that looked just like him when I was younger.
I'm gonna solicit this now while I got y'all brothers here. Any of these breeds, I have not owned a plot hound or the Australian Shepherd or Australian cattle dog. If y'all got, I don't care if it's their first one, they know more about it than I do. We need people like that for this panel to really spread. It ain't even so much the knowledge as I don't want the knowledge. I can get the knowledge off Google. I want the experience. What is it like? What is it like?
I've had the pleasure of
see how many
training
dogs is there?
a number of them. I've gotten a chance to work with the Australian cattle dog. They are a grittier, hard dog. You know what I mean? They're kind of spun up like very similar to a Malinois, and they're just all driven by work and what their purpose and task is. For the most part, Australian Shepherds seem to be a little more suited to family. You know what I mean? Like they don't have as strong of a herding instinct and that sort of thing as I would say the Australian cattle dog. You know what I mean? So like I said, I've had the pleasure of spending at least 8 hours with a lot of different breeds and that sort of thing. And you know what I mean? If I've done multiple of that same breed, and I can give you my interpretation of it.
Yeah, man. Hey, MKM Bottoms is my big brother in the chat as well, man. He says he got the plug on plots in Michigan, real special bear dogs and hogs here in Oklahoma, though. Hey, man, if you got experience, man, and because what I'll do is I'll make sure I name it like how we did American Dingo for this episode. I'll name it and I'll put it out a couple of days in advance so y'all can get a hold of y'all brothers that know these breeds or own them or train them like Student for Life, and y'all come on and be the subject matter expert. I don't need to be the SME on everything.
Michigan ain't too far. May 17th, they're having Plot Fest here in Waynesville in Maggie Valley, North Carolina.
Yeah. So, man, this imagery is beautiful.
Come out to that. Well, that's close to me. All these old them type of people is what you'll see here.
Shit, I'm right up underneath Michigan. Shit, it take me 30 minutes to get to Michigan.
That's what I want to learn from right there. Them guys that didn't been out there for years, man. That's an encyclopedia of dog knowledge right there.
If you look at this whole video, there's young boys there that are on one step of that tree Dre was talking about earlier, and then them old boys are on another.
Yeah.
That type of hunting is awesome.
One thing I noticed.
Did you see all the dogs crossing the road? How many dogs there was?
It looked like about 20 something.
Yeah, there's a lot of dogs. They run them in sections and packs. They'll set out 5 or 6, and then they'll have the trackers on it, and they'll head them off and set out another 5 or 6.
I'm gonna mute up for just a second, brother.
Okay. Shout out to brother Urok the Noble in the chat. Salute, bro. But yeah, y'all, this is for all of y'all who are new to this new podcast thing we're doing. This is a dog podcast. We love the American Pit Bull Terrier. We love all dogs, though. And we're gonna talk about everything. Brother Dylan, I also seen your comments in there, man. He says they use some Russian dogs up there too. Yes, sir. And before you spend another dime on a dog, man, do your research and know what you're getting into, man. because every breed has its quirks, its perks, and its unknowns.
I was looking at a page that had like plot hounds. One thing that kind of confused me was I would see like grand champion, and I was wondering like why is it a second champion behind the grand champion?
Grand night champion and stuff. There's different classes of it, I guess.
Another thing I noticed was
I don't fully understand that stuff. I never competition hunt. It's different up here.
Yeah.
Another thing I noticed hunt up here
was the stud fees weren't like, if you breed to a grand champion pit bull terrier or something, you finna spend probably, $1,000, $1,500, maybe more. But you can breed to a grand champion like plot hound for like $200, $250. It seemed like the prices was like a lot cheaper.
I'm sure it's the same way as pit bull terriers. There's pit bull terrier guys you could breed to their dog for free or $100 or $200, but then there's people that knows what they got and you won't breed to their dog with. There's different levels to them type of hound guys. Some people may have like a low number of their dogs left, so they're willing to stud out to something so that they can get more maybe back.
I also think it's the purpose. In the pit bull world, a lot of times it's more we're competing with each other, whereas with those guys, they want to pack. So it's like, man, the more the merrier type thing. Our goal is to get this bear, not to be the best in show, and I think that shows with the camaraderie. I'm gonna read this comment from brother Constant Pressure Kennels. He says, "I read that book and watched the movie where the red fern grows. Man, that made me want to have an old tick hound. Yeah, I can see that.
That's a red bone. Them are red bones, and that's in Arkansas, like the Ozark Mountains.
Yeah, for these hounds though, there are so many different hounds, man. When I break it down, I don't think I'm gonna break it down by class. I think we'll go through like a bunch of different hounds and then maybe do a top 10, like we do top 10s within the breed itself, based on what we learn from the breed owners and the people who work with those breeds, and make it fun.
Well, and like something people need to realize about hounds and why you use them, it has a lot to do with the terrain. The body type and structure and style has to fit the terrain.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. They got Cali catchers really opened my eyes to that as well, man, and the importance of the dog's feet and how the feet are formed, whether they're the mean splayed and all that kind of stuff. That's a big part of if they can continue on the trail when hunting and that sort of thing. The red bone coonhound is those were the first dogs I ever had, man. So that, like you said, where the red fern grows, that's always a whole spot in my heart, because I think those two dogs that I had, man, really sparked this passion that I got for dogs. Period, man.
Yes, sir. Hey, y'all, we're approaching that 2-hour mark. I'm gonna shut it down for today. I hope that this has been very, very inspirational and informative to everybody who's watched. Everybody who is new to the channel, please make sure you like, follow, subscribe, and share. I'm gonna pass the mic around to my brothers, and then I'm gonna shut it down for the day, and we'll get back at this maybe Saturday. I don't know. The next show will be when I'm available. But y'all go ahead and plug y'all stuff in.
Yeah, man, it's your boy Big A. You know what it is. Back in here like I love my wallet and keys, man. Next time, a whole new topic. We're gonna be cooking all the time now.
Man, this is Student for Life. Just want to say thank y'all for this podcast. It was really God sent, man. And this is, like I said, stand on business, really building better people through building better dogs, man. And keep that passion burning and stay learning.
Yep.
Man, it's Supreme, man. It's the Bulldog Brady Brunch, man. Y'all be safe, man. Y'all keep your head up and your head on the swivel, man.
Yeah, for real. This is Elevated Kennels. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Follow us on TikTok, Facebook. I'm digging this. I like this topic. It was a good one.
Yeah, man. Shout out to Elevated Kennels, man. Make sure y'all purchase t-shirts from him. Also, if you're in the Virginia area and you can get a hold of my brother, Student for Life Dog Training at Front Door Dog Training, check him out. I recommend him. You know what I'm saying? Based on my analysis and my evaluation, I recommend Student for Life Dog Training as one of my top dog trainers, man. Salute.
Thank you, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you're trying to get an American Pit Bull Terrier puppy and you're worth a damn, Elevated might talk to you, Brother Supreme might talk to you, and one of the brothers in the chat might talk to you. But please don't start the conversation with, you got pups. This has been
Well, and like something about me, like most of the time you don't come to me and pick your dog. I don't care what anybody says. I've been around them far too long to just let somebody come and pick the wrong one when I knew that they should have had that one instead. You know what I mean? I've gave dogs to many people and not the ones I've gave to people and they're happy with. They won't get rid of them. I've never had the opposite effect.
Yes, sir. Y'all know how we always do. If you're not Christian or you don't want to do the watchword with me, that's fine. Go ahead and turn it off. But if you, for those of y'all who have the will and the mindset to do so, let me hit y'all with the Christian watchword before we get up out of here. May the Lord watch between you and me while we are absent from another. Amen.
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 All right, fellas, we out for today. This was a great live stream. My brothers on the panel, fall back for just a second. I want to talk to y'all after the live stream. But other than that, man, y'all have a blessed day. Enjoy the week and keep them dogs healthy.